Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today, Masechtas Bava Daf Lamed Aleph. We're going to begin on the top of Lamed Aleph by the Mishnah. Says the Masnis. You have Shnei Kadarin. You have two potters. Shahayim Halchin Zeh Achar Zeh. So you have two people. They're carrying pots, and one is in front of the other. They're both going apparently the same direction. V'niskel Harishon. One guy slips, the guy in front, v'nafel, and he falls down. V'niskel hasheni b'rishon. It's like a whole domino effect. The first guy falls, and the second one trips over the first one. So rishon chai b'niskei sheni. So the din is, the first guy that fell, because he was on the ground, so the second guy who trips over him, so the first guy is responsible. Says Gemara, so Amar Rav Yochanan, lo teimo mastis rameirhi. Don't tell me that this Mishnah is like Rameir Diyomer Nisko Peshehu, the Chayiv, which sounds like it was talking about. The one who trips is a Pesheya, and therefore you're Chayiv, El Afil Rabban Diarmi Onasu. Even according to the Rabban who say that if you trip, it's an accident, in the Upater, so Hacha Chayiv. Over here he says you're Chayiv. Unbelievable answer. Because you should have stood up, and you didn't stand up. So it's not your fault that you tripped. People trip, people fall. But the problem is when you stay on the ground. So on this, I learned out from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance. Life is not what happens to us, it's how we choose to react to what happens to us. So this Gemara teaches us a phenomenal concept. If you fall, it's not your fault, you're potter. But if you choose not to get up, then you're at fault. So in life, everyone falls down. The question is, are you going to stay on the ground? If you stay on the ground, then it remains, now it's your fault. You have to get yourself up. Even though it's say he didn't have the ability to stand up, he could have at least said, hey, careful, look, I'm down here. Could have warned the guy. So even if you couldn't have physically gotten up, you're still responsible because you could have warned the person that you're on the ground. Rabbi Yochanan, since you couldn't get up, you really didn't have the ability to do anything. You were so busy because you were lying on the ground, dealing with the fact that you fell, that your thought process wasn't, let me warn the guy. It's not. You have a person carrying a beam, like on his shoulders, this big log, and he's in the front. And then you have a person holding a barrel in the back. Nish b'chavis b'kara potter. So you say that if the chavis got broken by the kaira, so then you're potter. Ve'im amad bal kaira chayev. However, if the bal kaira stops suddenly, you're chayev. It's just interesting. It's not like in a car accident that if you bang into the car in front of you, so we always say the person in the back is responsible. The car in the front stopped. Maybe you're too close. Over here it doesn't say it. It says if the guy stops suddenly, the person holding the beam in the front is responsible. So my love, sha'amal katef. What happened? He stopped to organize, maybe shift his shoulders. He's carrying this thing. The orchelu, this is a normal thing. The katani chayev, dahavi ulhazir, because maybe he should have warned him. He said, "Guys, I'm about to stop, so be careful whoever's behind me." No, look, sha'aman lafush. He was stopping to rest. That's the reason why. Mashma aval amalakativ my potter. Mashma, if he was just trying to adjust himself, then he would be potter at a tani seifa, but it doesn't mention those comparisons. Instead, it says a totally different thing. V'im armu malbais amoy potter. If the bal chavius, the barrel owner of the barrel, said stop, then he'd be potter. So liflug v'lisni b'didah b'medivarim k'sham lafush avlam l'kati potter. Once you mention the difference, just push it, that you're going to be chayiv only if he's resting, but if he's stopping to to adjust, then he'd be potter. So it must be Amal Lakatef Yarchayev. So Hakamashmano, the Afghan Amal Lafush, even though he is stopping to rest, Ki Karmel Lulabal Chavius Amud Potter. But even though he would normally be Chayev, but since he told to the Bal Chavius to stop, so then he's going to be potter if the Bal Chavius just continues to go. Tashma. Question 11. Hay Bal Kair Rishain, the Im Amad Bal Kair Chayev, Mahi Pishiusa the Bal Kair. What's the mistake of the one who's holding the beam? So he said, either he's stopping to rest, which is Mishuna, Shin Rishus Harabim Masun Lakach. You don't anticipate people resting in the middle of Rishus Harabim. Oh, the Amad Lakatef, that he actually was standing to adjust himself. But Havi legally has here, maybe he should have warned him. Okay. Weiter. Tashma. Kakadarin, when we're dealing with these potters, or Zagogin, those who sell glasswares, Shahai Mahalchan Zachas, they're going one after the other. Nisko Rishon, the first guy falls of an awful, but Nisko Hashem, the second guy falls. Barishon on the first guy. So again, the first guy fell, and then the second guy tripped over the first guy. Vashlishi b'sheni. Now you have a real domino effect. You have a third guy that trips over the second one. So you have all these. You have a 3-car collision over here. So Rishon chayev b'niski sheni. The first guy is chayev in the damage of the second one because he stopped, and that caused the second guy to fall. B'sheni chayev b'niski shlishi. Interesting enough, according to this, the second person is chayev for the third person because the third person tripped over the second person. However, if let's say the reason why they all fell was because of the first guy, so then the first guy is going to be responsible. V'im his hiru, but if he warned the person behind him, zeh peturin. So after you fell and again you warned and they didn't heed your warning, so then in that situation you are then you're potter. Now, my love, when it says imach masrisha naful kul, and that only the first guy is chayev, my love shlo hayolehen lamoid, because he shouldn't have shlo hayolehen lamoid. He couldn't have stood up. It was impossible for him to get up. Even though it was impossible for him to get up, he's still chayev. Lo shahayolehen lamoid. The guy could have gotten up, and the fact that he didn't get up, that's why he's chayev. Which is mashma lo hayolehen lamoid, my potter. Mashma, if he couldn't get up, he would be potter. Hachi at a tiny seifa im hisir zed potter. Why do we mention this totally separate case? If you warn the people, why don't you make a distinction in the thing itself? But the first guy's only chai when he could have gotten up. But if he couldn't have gotten up, he's potter. So that's not a kasha. It's coming to teach you. Even though he could have gotten up, he's lying there, but his hearers and sepaturin. Even a warning is enough. So either get up or warn the people behind you. In either case, you'll be potter. Or if you stood up, then otherwise I'm going to trip. Amarava Rishon Chai Beniski Sheni. So when you have this 3-person crash in the case above, so the first person is Chai for the second. What does that mean? Bein Beniski Gufo Bein Beniski Mamoinai. So you're obligated to pay for the damages of the body as well as the property. Sheni Chai Beniski Shlishi Beniski Gufo. When he said that the second was responsible for the third person who fell because of the second guy, you're only Chai Beniski Gufo on the body of a lo Beniski Mamoinai, but not on the damages of the money, which is kind of hard to understand. But Manoshach, understand. Inisko Poishehu, if the tripper is at fault, so Sheni Nami L'chayev, then the second guy should be chayev to pay for niski mamoinoi. In nisko lapashehu, if he'll reach a nami lifter, if the tripping is not something which is really that you should be held accountable for, so then why would we say that the first person is also as chayev? He should be potter. So mamanashach, if you hold niskol poishehu or niskol's not poishehu, it's hard to understand what exactly is the meaning of this situation as we continue to Lamed Alpha Mid Beis. Rishon vadi poshehu. The first guy who tripped, he's definitely a posheya. The first guy that tripped, because he tripped over nothing, right? Basically, so he's chayiv everything to the second person, begufo and b'moino. Niskim b'moino. Sheni, the second guy, a gufo machayiv. We say he does have to pay for the body of the third person. The havi lo yulamoid v'lomad, because he should have gotten up and he didn't stand up. And the fact that he didn't stand up and this third person got injured, so you're chayiv niskim gufo. Mamoino potter wide yermalei haibira lava anag karise. The person can say, this pit, I'm not the one who dug it. The first person actually did it. So therefore I should not be chayiv on niske mamoinoi. Okay. There's actually, the Rashi actually spills into this daf. So this is what Rashi says over here. Rishon vadi poshehu, the menafshe nafal, he fell himself. Hilkach, therefore gufa havi kamazik, so he's like a mazik. V'amamoyna havi le kaira, bar, it's like he opened up a pit. Mechayev miya gufoi, so therefore he's chayiv on basically everything. Sheni, says Rashi, benifilaso oinus, we say that his falling is like an accident. A gufa miya mechayev, he still has to pay for the body of the third guy, kamazik biyodayim, because he damaged him like with his hands. Shayil lamadul amai, because he could have gotten up and he didn't. However, mamayna pater legamri, he doesn't have to pay. Kafil hayil lama, says Rashi, he could have gotten up because he could say, bira lavana kirite, I didn't open up this pit. El Rishon, the first guy did. Umafker nezachav l'achan nefilos oinis amr le'el de pater. And a person is mafker nechasav after the nefilos oinis, so we say that in that case you are a pater. Okay, so that's the basic understanding. Okay. Meisvei. Kulon chayav al niski gufon. It says everyone is chayav on the niski gufon. Upaturin al niski mamoinan. Now it's interesting. It says that apparently everyone is pater on niski mamoinan, which seems like even the first guy. My love of vil rishon. We stand the rishon is chayav on niski mamoin. So no, lo labar rishon, not the first guy. Well, kulon katani says everyone, which is mashmali even the first guy. So I'm Rabbi Barava kulon hanizakin. All of those who were also damaged, not because the first guy was a mazik, he was not also a nizik. So the second guy was a mazik and a nizik, and the third guy was a nizik. So anyone who is under the nizikin category, that's what happened. So how do we understand this? That's telling you that even the first person is pater from niskim amoino. That's why it says all. Kulon is clearly talking about everyone. If you're coming to exclude the first, my kulon lisne hanizakin. You can't just tell me, oh, it's only referring about the people who get the nizakin. So then say that. Don't say kulon. Kulon is mashma even the first. El Omarava. Now, Rava says like this. Now, Rava in the Havamina, the body of the first person damages the body or mammon of the second guy. So you're chayiv. So what happened was the body of the first person damaged the body or mammon of the second guy. But the first guy is pater al niski mamono. But the second person is only chayiv when his body injures the body of the third guy, since the second guy is like a boar. Okay. Omarava. Rishon chayiv bein beniske gufo desheni bein beniske mamona desheni. So the first guy is going to be chayiv whether when the body of the first person damages the body or the mammon of the second guy. So that's what it means. Bein beniske gufo desheni bein beniske mamona desheni. Sheni, but the second person is only chayiv when his body injures the body of the third guy. Sheni chayiv beniske shlishi beniske gufo of a little beniske mamona. My time and having bor, since the second guy is like a pit. V'lo bor shechayiv shechibos a kalim. We never find that when it comes to a pit, you're chayiv for kalim. And therefore, because of that, you would be pater from kalim or mamoinoi. Fine. Says Rashi, El Omer Rava, Al Karchach Rava lo chayiv risham niskim mamono shehizik b'sheni de la poshehu. So Anichel Shmuel says the Gemara, it's a good according to Shmuel the Emer kol takala borhu, that every takala is connected to a pit. So therefore, you could possibly say that the body of the second person there has a Taurus bore, which is the reason why you're pater from this game mamoinoi. El Rab the Emer I afkare in ilolo. He says it's all totally if you're mafkarit. So ma'ikameimar. So what are you going to say? Says Rashi. Rava the Emer ilo afkare. If you didn't mafkar, ilo have you bore. It's not considered like a pit. Bishlam a mama and equal a meimer the mafkar inish. El a guf mi mafkar. Person can be mafkar mamain, but not the guf. So your answer is like this: Oilam kidik aymar mikar, like we said originally. However, the kashal kulam chayavin, what it says kulam chayavin, which means you're chayav on the first. The first person is chayav. So tirgumu Rav Adabar bar min Yomi kamid Ravina shehusku kalim bekalim. We're talking about where kalim damaged kalim. Okay. Hold off. Let's look at this Rashi. The gufo rishon v'sheni, the gufo, the first and the second person, havi kamazikin biyadayim. It's like they damage with their hands. V'chayavan ala koil. The first and the second person is chayav on everything. Of a gufo adam who, but the gufo of the person, the little boar, v'chayav al niski kalim, v'chayav on kalim, umamoina shel rishon, and the kli that damages. With Shmuel, bein afkri, bein lo afkri, havi bor. According to Shmuel, you'd be potter. Rav ilo afkri chayav b'koil. The afkri havi bor, the niskil mi'atzmoi. Poishehu. You trip your poisheh, mamoina shel sheni potter. Afal niski guf. The second one would be potter. Afal niski guf ashlishi. The nezek hamufkar alidei oinasu. Okay. Weiter. Amar mar imach mas risha naflu. Rishon Chaim Beniski Kulam. So if these other guys tripped because the first guy who tripped, then the first guy's Chayiv. So Machmas Rishon Hechi Nafel. So what does that mean? How do they fall? So our Papa Oimer the Pascal Orche that he blocks the entire road. Ki Shilda. Just like again, some type of it says Rashi says Kinevela, like a carcass. You block the entire road, so therefore you're entirely at fault. So just like this type of, says Rashi, kamakil shel sumin, like a stick for blind people. Shemigashe shashuma boy, they're constantly moving their stick all over the place. So it's like basically it means he took up the entirety of the area. That's the reason why. You are chayiv. Okay, we're going to stop there. There's a lot to discuss here, so let's look at question 12 slowly. Shnei Kedarim, we have two potters. Shahim Mahalchan Zachazeh, one's going after the other. Beniskil, Rishon, the first guy falls. V'nafel, he falls down. He trips and falls. Beniskil Hasheni B'Rishon V'nafel, the second guy falls. Ma din behezek mamoino shel Rishon. What is the din of the hezek money of the first? Legufo ul kalev shel sheni. That if his mamoin damaged the guf or the kalim of the second guy. Mumahadin behezek money shel sheni legufo ul kalev shel shlishi. So it's a little bit hard. Basically, what are the responsibilities of the first guy to the second and the second guy to the third? So niske mamoino, the damages of property of the first. Legufo shel sheni chayiv. If it damaged the person, you're chayiv. So again, if the niske mamoin damaged the guf of the second person, you're chayiv. L'kalov, if let's say niske mamoin damaged the kalim, so it depends. If they were mafker these kalim and potter. If he was not mafker these kalim, put the Rabbi Shmuel, that's a machlokas. Okay, so again, when it comes to the first guy, l'maskana, who damages his niske mamoin, damages the person's body, so then he's going to be chayiv. If he damages the niski mamoin, damages the kalim, if it was mafker the kalim potter. If it was not mafker, then it's a machlokas. Niski mamayna shel sheni, the second person, lagufa shel sheni potter, v'chein lekela potter. So the second person, when it comes to niski mamayno, we say that you are completely potter. It's only when his body injures the body of the third guy. But in this case, if it's niski mamayno, his possessions, his property, if you will, damages the property or body of the third person, then you're going to be potter like the din of bor. Okay, let's see question TA 19. Hakadorim v'hazagagin nisko rishon ma'adin b'rishon v'shein inin kufan shehichlik ma'adin inin mamaynim shehizik. This is a question a little bit different. Guf and mamoin. So we already talked about the first person who damages the second person regarding mamoin. So this is referring to guf and mamoin. So the answer is like this. Hamasha zika b'gufan, when it comes to the body of the person damages, the first person who damages with his body, shneim chayavim, then they're chayiv, umedin adam. The almasha ziku b'moinam, when it comes to his property that damaged, it's totally harishon chayiv al mamoino shehizik medin bor. The first guy is going to be chayiv. B'shini potter du oinus. Okay, so that's TA 19. Very difficult question. I got it completely right, which means I really knew this sort of cold. TB 20 Hagadarim Shahay Mahalchan Zachar Zeh Maishna Risha Meniske Sheni Shechayev Af Kishimamoino Hizik Vilasheni Potter Kishimamoino Hizik Esa Shlishi. So we already alluded to this. So the first one is Chayev Imnei Shehu Loyimid Medin Adam Shehu Chayev Mashen Kain Masheni Shehu Loimid Chu Potter Shalimid. I wrote Me'esh, but really from Bor. Adkan.